Alright, so this is... Terrible attempt at an opening, but anyways, this is my brother's 30-gallon, if you want to call it his. I take care of it, it's just in his room. But anyways, this is a 30-gallon community. We eventually plan to put a beta, one of the ones I have upstairs, in here, and we're getting another. But in this tank for now we have some Harlequin Rasboras and purple Rasboras. In the back you'll see Cardamines, some Repins down there in the bottom, Java Ferns in the front, with an Anubias in the back, just one, seeing how it does. Some, I think that's, honestly don't remember, some kind of grass they have at our local fish store. It's good for some foreground cover. We've got some Java Moss there on the frontmost branch. That's actually Weeping Moss. One clump there, looks gorgeous. Some floating Anacharis, and some more Cardamines there in the back with some more Java Ferns. It's kind of hidden by the floating stuff, but in the back you'll see a rock with a massive clump of Java Ferns, and they are glued to it. Everything in here is Flourish glue. It's an Aqueon, I think 150 watt heater, and an Aqueon 30 LED Pro, plus whatever. And same with the light as an Aqueon OptiBright Plus, that wonderful built-in timer. So moving out here, small, I believe 1.5 gallon tank for female wild in it. It's just got some floating Anacharis, moss balls, and about 3 Indian almond leaves. And bare bottom. That's the reason I did. She loves hiding in the leaves. Oop, there she is. The other female I got, unfortunately, escaped. Ooh. And I'm going to try and get a view of it here. Bear with me. Well, anyways, it's a very small hole. Unfortunately, she managed to get in there. Wiggled her way out overnight. So I've got screen. You can see a small portion of the hole she made it through. Bit that doesn't have plastic on it. And more screen. Definitely got to be careful with these wilds. If they can jump, they will jump, and they will find a way out, unfortunately. It's a hard lesson to learn. But anyways. I'm going on up into my room. So we've got my 5 gallon. This was my very first tank, my very first fish. Well, not my very first, but, first one I've had since I took up my own aquarium hobby, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyways, he's been around since December. He was my little Christmas gift to myself. He's actually, I think, a little bit older, but his coloring is pretty unique. I don't really see a whole lot with the black and red contrast there. He's was my favorite at the time in the store, so I couldn't resist. Hey buddy, it's like, where's my dinner? Anyways, unfortunately this tank is having a little bit of a tough time with algae. Got one mono shrimp in there. He's going to try and help out. He's probably hungry, but unfortunately it's all over the driftwood there and starting a bit on the glass surface, as you can see. So hopefully he'll help out. In this tank is another, I think, Aqueon. It's their smallest preset heater. Keeps it at a nice 78 degrees. Eco complete for the substrate with a little bit of Fluval stratum just to fill stuff in and help with the plants. Really just more to fill space. They're Repens. This is really actually a natural way that this one grew here. This piece of driftwood had a large end to the right, kind of like a fork towards the left, sitting on a rock, and that Repen grew from the back of the tank right on the edge, reached over towards the wood, latched on, and went straight up. So I thought that was pretty neat. I'd like to keep it there, but when I trimmed the bottom from the root, which is actually hard to see, it's that one back there with the hole in the leaf. When I trimmed it off of that, it stopped doing too well on the bottom end, even though the roots were dangling. I think those are still going. Maybe not those. So, one little almond leaf. But Repens, Cardamines, and that there is a clump of Hydrocotyle Japan, however it's pronounced. I really like the way that they carpet, and you can pretty much just put them anywhere. They can float, and you can tie them to something, or they were wrapped around the back piece of this wood, but I took them off because those guys, there was 5 of them in here, and they absolutely destroyed it. So, just kind of hoping it'll take back off, which it is. All those leaves are gone, so they're all new right now. So that's a good sign. Alright. This is my first serious tank, if you want to take it. All my supplies there, my fire hazard of a plug. DIY CO2 setup, more old supplies, and some extra fresh water over there. And bad water. It's usually what I use to take the water downstairs. Real quick, just to give you an idea, that's what comes out of the beta tanks. That's what comes out of the 30 and the 10. That's just saturated with tannins, which is actually this stuff up here. So, thanks to the Beta Brood, gave me the instructions how to make that. You just boil some Indian almond leaves. It's really not that hard, but she gave me the idea, so thanks for that. Worked out great. Anyways, this is my 10. It's got an Aqueon Quiet Flow 10 Plus, LED Pro, whatever, that fancy stuff. That has some generic heater I found on Amazon. It was cheap, figured, hey, give it a try. I had it in the 5-gallon with the Beta, but he liked to chill on it, and it was burning him, so I had to get it out of there. And moved it in here. It worked out great. So, in this tank, I've got my school of green neons. There's a couple Siamese algae eaters there. Kind of help clean up. I do also have about 4 Amano shrimp in there somewhere. They always seem to find a good hiding place if they're not over here munching on the calcium. So there's one of them. He's kind of hard to see, but there's another one back there. I like these guys. They're fun to watch. Another one. So there's one somewhere else. But anyways, big piece of driftwood. Tied some Java moss around that was actually a clump, if you were to hold it in your hand, about the size of a baseball. And I stretched it out kind of like a rope and just really went crazy wrapping it around some of those trees. And they're not trees, but the branches, and you really can't even see them anymore, but they're in there somewhere. It turned out really nice. It's been taken off There's a small piece over there which is actually coming undone, but I stuck it back down when I cleaned the tanks yesterday, and it's moss, so doesn't look good, doesn't look bad. And then my Java Fern, can't go wrong with them. It's my centerpiece, and it's always been doing well. Just trimmed a couple of dead leaves off of it. If you look back there, you can see a tiny leaf sprouting off of the bigger one, and there's an even smaller one right in front of that. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but a little bit. Anyways, 7 green neons, 2 algae eaters, 4 shrimp. That carpet, I'm not sure what that is. I found it at the fish store in one of those cups with the gel in the bottom, and it looked cool. I figured I'd give it a shot. It started off as that little brown clump there, which, as you can see, died off. It was the original, the original clump, if you will. I don't know how else I can put that. Hey, look, there's the other shrimp. Anyways, this carpet, once I put the CO2 in there and the right lighting, which this light is an Aqueon OptiBright Plus as well. Love the timers. Anyways, that carpet really took off. As you can see, stretched out quite a bit. Went all the way around the back, along the wood, covered it back there. Same with everything behind the Java Fern, underneath the filter, which thankfully doesn't grow tall, so we don't really have an issue with that. And earlier, as you saw, all the way back behind the tree. So it is, for lack of a better term, going nuts. Substrate, nothing fancy, it's just black sand. That's it. It's got Flourish root tabs. Then of course I dose all my tanks with Prime and Flourish Excel, and I've got Flourish Comprehensive down in the fridge. Stress coat, aquarium salt, Epsom salt just in case. And this stuff right here is fantastic. TLC Quick Start Bacteria. There's another bottle back here. This is probably what it looks like now. But it cycles your tank. It did mine in about 2 weeks. Both the 10 and the 30 gallon. So, my numerous supplies. Everything for the fish tanks and cleaning. And over this is my wild beta tank. It is my newest tank aside from the one that houses the female downstairs. Basically my 5 was first, the 10 was second, the one in my 30 was third. He's ready for dinner. Same, unfortunately, as the female downstairs. I learned a very hard lesson. This was the first hard lesson I learned with these guys. Do not underestimate their jumping abilities. They'll find a way out, and they will make it out. So, please, cover your tanks, because that's where the first one went out. Just like the beta brood warned me. So, now I've got that covered with screen and a very tiny hole that I use to poke that through and feed them and treat the water. And this screen, it's hard to see. I'll see if I can lift it up real quick. Come on. Dive down. Dive down. I'm trying to get him to watch my fingers so he'll pay attention to that. And you can kind of lead him towards the bottom of the tank. He is not interested though. Well, real quick then. Watching you. The entire inside of the tank. I do not like doing that even just as much as I did and as quick as I did it just now. Anyways, I've covered the entire inside with screen just to make sure, as a temporary measure. At some point in time, I had it wrapped on the lid with saran wrap. This here is a notch that seats over the plastic, separates the back housing or the back compartments of the tank here with the filter, the heater, and the media. And so the plastic only went back from the very front all the way to that back notch. And he managed to jump in between this piece of plastic up inside the saran wrap and was inside of this hood. And because I had wrapped it all the way around, sorry bud, all the way around, this part was covered on top, and so was it underneath. And fortunately, I grabbed the nearest knife I had and cut him open. He was good to go. Well, not cut him open, but cut him out, and he was good to go. But it scared the hell out of me all over again. So, do a good job at your covering, and make sure it is airtight or fish tight, if you will. So, anyways, in this tank, obviously some more Java ferns. Again, you can't go wrong with them. They're lining the back. I'm hoping they'll grow out a little more forward towards the front of the tank. There's a mat there and a smaller mat there. You can see the Java ferns in the back. He actually likes to hang out down there. And there's Cardamines there in the corner. That's his favorite spot of the tank. As you can see where he's sitting now, that's pretty much where he spends most of his energy, either chasing my finger or himself. And back there are some water sprites, and he does like to sit in those as well and just kind of rest for a minute. Same with these long branches is actually where he's chosen to build a nice bubble nest. But we're not ready for that. And then there's some nice driftwood. Gotta have plenty of that. Some almond leaves tucked under there. He likes to hang out in there sometimes and swim around as a tunnel. And he likes to hide behind that leaf in particular when I'm trying to take pictures or video. So I guess that's his hiding spot, where he knows I can't see him. Alright, so he's pretty hungry. What I've got here is just a little bit of defrosted brine shrimp in his tank water. Don't use tap. And all I do is suck up a little bit in the dropper and stick it through that tiny hole to drop it in the tank. Because again, I don't like lifting the lid. So there he is, he's waiting. And it's that tight of a fit. Nothing pointy on the top, just the plastic. But anyways, he's already biting at it. Alright, dude, chill out. There you go. Come on, eat what's floating. He's trying to go after the syringe again. I have fed this to the fish in my community tanks a few times, but it almost doesn't feel right, because what they miss, the amount of shrimp tend to get, that just seems a little messed up to me. But then again, I guess they kind of eat each other if they come across a fallen friend, so what can you do? I think it's kind of funny But that's how the wild beta goes after it. He's nuts about it. He'll chase every bit down. But the domestic guy over here kind of doesn't know what to do with it. Whoa, dude. Shrimp's going after him. I've never had an issue with this guy in the tank jumping out. This is all that I have for a cover, just a piece of plastic. Bought it at Lowe's, it was like $7. Can't beat it. Pretty much all day, every day. It doesn't matter how long I have the lid off, he's not a jumper. He'll just hang out. He's happy getting his food in there as long as it's clean, as long as it's tasty. But again, it's kind of funny watching him with this because you don't know what to do with it. See, he's still staring at the syringe because he's waiting for the pellet. Munch it, come on. Huh? Yeah. No. So he's not interested. So I'll get him some pellets. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed the video. I gotta treat the water and feed everybody else now, which is gonna be easier with 2 hands. So, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll try to keep up on more posts.